Lynne O'Donnell is a journalist and author who's worked and reported from Afghanistan for several years. She joins us now from London. Lynne, thanks so much for your time. Now, you've written that for the foreseeable future, we now have no other choice but to trust the Taliban. Just put that into context for us.
I think that it's probably an overstatement. I can't quite remember when I wrote that, but it must have been in the context of not being able to trust the Taliban, because I don't think that they are a trustworthy organisation. I think that they are the world's biggest criminal cabal. They are certainly the biggest dealers and producers, and to a great extent processors of heroin in the world. They've recently moved into methamphetamine. So if you're taking delivery, for instance, in Mozambique or Sri Lanka or somewhere, of made in Afghanistan heroin, they'll throw in a kilo of meth to get you started. So they've been developing markets in that way. They've also taken control of a large proportion of Afghanistan's mining and minerals industry. So they've been smuggling copper, talc, lithium, gemstones, you name it, and denying the revenues from that to the Afghan government and people. So we've got to trust them? No, I don't think we've got to trust them. I don't know where you read that. I certainly can't remember writing it, and I think you may have taken it out of context, if I may say so. These are not people who can be believed. They are liars, and they're killers, and they're drug dealers, and they're criminals.
Well, these liars and drug dealers, as you describe them, they now have to form a legitimate government, a government that needs to be seen as being legitimate by the international community. But within the Taliban itself, I believe there are different factions. Some are more extreme than others. Do you think we're going to get to a point of the Taliban actually fracturing from within because they can't come to a common idea of how they want to run the country, not just in Kabul, but in other parts of the region?
I think that that's a really interesting question. And of course, the possibility always exists that any political organisation is factionalised, and those factions can split apart and form other bits and pieces. But they have behind them Pakistan, China, Russia, and Iran. Now, with China and Russia, they have the UN Security Council. With those four partners, they're the only functioning open embassies in Kabul at the moment, which is also worth remembering. They have support. They've got to please these parties first. And one of the reasons that those countries are so interested in what's happening in Afghanistan is because they want stability. So is the Taliban going to be allowed to break up and start fighting amongst itself? Well, that remains to be seen. I'd be very surprised. I don't think that there has been a complete consolidation of control over the country just yet. I think there is some fighting, some of it factional outside of Kabul especially, but they're not even at the point of knowing how they're going to govern the country. So maybe it's early days to be even discussing this. Let's see what happens in coming weeks.
It's something we're all going to be keeping a very close eye on. Lynne O'Donnell, appreciate your perspective. Live to us there from London.